All right. And should get there. Hello, hello. Let me go ahead and do that. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Let's see if this all works. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? There. That should be better. There we go. That should be better. There we go. All right. Got that up. Let me go ahead and here we go. And Discord, and I will go here. Here, and I will go to here and make sure that I invite to server, and then in that. And I can invite to voice. And I can go ahead and then go to this guy and paste. And then I can go ahead and go here and copy and paste and paste. And we'll go back to here and we'll see if he comes in. Okay, while we're waiting for the guy that I'm supposed to be debating, I'm going to go ahead and full screen that. Alright, so today is going to be a little bit interesting. So basically, I wasn't really going to stream, and then I had a chat with a person inside of a different, what's it called, server. So during this talk on the server, I was able to discuss with this person through text about Israel and how Israel, like what's our foreign policy debate on Israel. And, oh wait, I should probably get the music up too, huh? Before we get into that. We'll do that in a second. Alright, so let me get this ready. All right, all right, all right. I think we are here. We are here. We are here. Um, so I was supposed to have a debate with a certain person about this. I'm trying to get that person on. Let me. All right. So, first, I thought that I would go ahead and give everyone the way that I got into this. So, I am a fan of Tactical Templar, and I frequently go on Tactical Templar's stuff, and I was talking to someone in his chat, and we're not going to be mean, we're not saying this person is wrong, or that this person is bad, or anything. We're just having a friendly discussion. So I'm going to be showing exactly what has been said, and basically just going over everything that this person said. And again, no hate, all the love. Basically just going in from the perspective of what Israel, foreign policy with Israel should look like in our eyes, how best we should have foreign policy, and what we think the right way of going through foreign policy is. So let's go through it. So this person says, small question to those that are saying that the U.S. should end its aid to Israel. What should the relationship be like after? I'll answer this section by section, and then we'll just go into it. So, small question to those that are saying the U.S. should end its aid to Israel. What should be the relationship like after? If we cut off aid, then we should still be on friendly terms. We should still have bases there. But it should still be friendly. We should still be able to trade some stuff. Trade here, trade there. But I believe in a lot of ways, if we're not going to be helping a country fight its battles, we shouldn't be giving them arms. We shouldn't be giving them money. We can help both sides. Like, for instance, if there's a Democratic Socialist of Communist of China on one side, and the Republic of China on the other side, and we want to give them both food, we can do that. But I don't think we should be giving money. I don't think we should be giving any other like arms. Basically, nothing that they can use to either kill each other or hurt each other in pretty significant ways. So, again, friendly. We can still have bases. We can still have our own way in that Middle Eastern section through Israel. I just don't want there to be just that. Because a lot of people call it aid, even though it's very transactional. As an example, every other aid recipient of the U.S. didn't give or sign anything for it. That's aid definitionally to me. Yeah, it is very transactional. It really is. Yeah, I understand, and that aid definitionally to me. But if it has conditions to it, then it's not aid; it's trade. I can agree to that. Here's some of the things that the U.S. gets back for its aid to Israel. So we aid Israel, and we get back operations control base stations in the Middle East, unlike the UK and NATO, who broke it by refusing to let the U.S. use them. I get that. But if we have a base there, we should kind of keep that base there. But that's another. That's something else. Intelligence sharing and technology for free, aka all those tips offs and info the CIA and FBI gets on terrorist plots, Israel is pretty much the best at it, and the Pegasus panic is just the tip of the iceberg in their capacity. I agree on that. Technology sells rights over systems developed in Israel or co-developed with U.S. talent. You know the ideas of shares, right? Usually when you invest into something, you don't get the rights over it if it's another person's idea. You just get shareholder rights. You have your opinions be heard in the venture and possibly acted upon. So even though the U.S. possibly paid for it in some part, it doesn't give them rights over it in an open market. Additionally, Israel can't sell this tech to nations the U.S. disapproves of. As an example of it is Trump blocking the sale of agricultural tech to China, or the lobby protected the U.S. forced Israel to stop. Medical tech, USB waves, WhatsApp, etc., all of those more will be under exclusive control over Israel with no U.S. oversight. Finally, the most important, the U.S. aid system to Israel works like a proxy loan to its own military industry sector. Sure, U.S. military tech is coveted, but given the prices, no nation outside the U.S. can sustain it, and building dozens of them just for jobs to leave for rot ain't that much of a good financial plan either. So yeah, but I think that Israel, because they're almost always in war, we can assume that we are always going to have our defense budget covered because Israel is going to want arms. So, like, technically, we'll always have the military-industrial complex alive as long as Israel is there. I really need to start on my alcoholic drink. So in short, let's say the U.S. stops its aid to Israel. What would they then trade for those services? Well, I mean, they could trade a lot of the stuff that they have. Like Israel could trade job training. They could trade food, whatever the U.S. really wants. The point is, like, in my ideal circumstance of what I want the USA and Israel alliance, yes, to look like, is a very simple alliance. We can be friends, we can trade with whatever we want. I don't even need anything from Israel, really, that I can think of. But there might be people who like hummus. Why not? So, personally, I don't really care. By the way, I'm asking that because the only alternative is it is either bailing out and missing out on tech you want or might want, or info from Israel, or you do a contract system which usually costs more. Dude, so whatever Israel can find out, CIA, FBI, all this other bullshit can find, like, they already know. They already know. Under the current aid systems, intelligence, for example, shared with the U.S. can keep some info a secret for its own interest, but without the current system, Israel could and would prioritize its own interest. That's true. I could agree to that. All right, let's see. My response was Israel should be subservient to America, not America subservient to Israel. Realistically, if we stop aid to Israel and they send us money for protection, or they could apply to become a state and gain statehood. I would not be remiss if Israel became a state. Would I really like it, considering that they're kind of in a bad area to be a state? That would really fracture how we are. We would kind of need to at least take over South America and then push out over to other areas. So there is that. Let me see if I can invite him again. And we'll go back. And they said, like, why would they? They don't need protection from the U.S. and none of Israel's war. Did the U.S. ever send troops? Also, subservient for what cost? All the U.S. aid to Israel is conditional on buying U.S. tech in exchange for economic and decision-making ability. As I gave some examples of what you're responding there, the levy agriculture textiles to China or pressure to have Israel stop a war at convenient times on the regular. If anything, what you're describing is close to the U.S. relationships with the EU through NATO, that it is with Israel. It feels like you sort of read the question, but only the context of it. What's going on? And I said, Israel is our proxy. We are not theirs. If we stop sending any and all help, they would be wiped out. They exist because of us. And that is very much true. If let's say, right this second, we stopped completely everything with Israel. We stopped everything with Israel. Let's say just in a matter of seconds, everything stopped with Israel. They would be severely impaired with their ability to pretty much do anything. A lot of the stuff that they have is only because we've been helping them to make it. Yeah, they have a lot of people over there that are doing good stuff for them, but they are definitionally not actually like as big as America. They're not going to make their own America. They're not going to make their own great place, this sanctuary as they have it. They've already tried that with Israel itself, trying to make Israel exist. I read it all, but it's hard to describe. I should stream and answer this question. I said I read it all, but it's hard to describe. I should stream and answer this question in full context. Would you be interested in doing so? Responded with, since before 67 up until 71, the U.S. didn't support Israel, and it was when the Arabs attacked them the most. You were basically operating under the assumption that Israel needs U.S. aid to survive, which doesn't seem true or even popular with Israel, but you forgot the premise of the original question. The original question was, without aid, what would the U.S. trade with Israel that it wants? My argument is basically that the annual $3 billion or what is not really a cheap deal for the U.S., and you can directly compare it to NATO to compare it to the cost benefit. Until 71, it was sales and contracted loans for limited supply. Additionally, it was the U.S. that forced the deal on Israel in times of somewhat uncertainty, which is why the conditions are rather popular in Israel. Mind you, I'm against all aid in any form, but if this means you will need to pay more for less because it is not part of the previous package, we compare it to this hypothetical, then it puts the U.S. at a loss since Israel gets more freedom and less obligations. Basically, it's either $3 to $4 billion in exchange for reasonable leverage over Israel, where you scrap all that and decide to negotiate every little thing, virtually zero influence in Israel at all. Hypothetically, let's say we scrap it, nothing stops Israel then in selling Iron Dome systems to China or Russia, if they need to do that for survival or exporting production there, since they have the Arrow 3 system now in David Sling. Let's say the U.S. doesn't have this aid arrangement with Israel and that happens. What will the U.S. do then? First of all, Israel is, yes, they will do anything that they can to survive. Anyone would. The point is China, Russia, Ukraine. A lot of these places aren't really friendly with Israel. And if we stop, they will get constant bombardment from all their areas. Now, currently, under the Trump administration, with the Iran war going on, all of these Arab countries seem to be on the same page against getting rid of Iran. Not the people, the IRGC. So, with that, they are coming together over a mutual enemy. Now, that could bring about peace in a lot of places. Now, whether that does bring about peace is entirely different, but let me see if he's still coming on. Let me see if I can't get him on. Let's see. We will do. Let's go ahead and go back to tactical. The U.S. is the police of the world, for better or worse. Having bases in friendly government in Israel is all I'd want. However, most presidents either want Israel to be a territory or to be a part of the U.S. Honestly, not spending money for trade is completely fine with me, especially in Israel. And then I expressed interest in discussion over the stream. He asked what, verbally speaking, would asking the cost, benefit, what's your angle? I basically said I'm not anti-Israel, and the purpose would be to honestly help sway me either way, as I am for little foreign intervention as possible and trade excluded. Honestly, to understand your viewpoint and maybe change my own. And then talked to him. My position, is that he said, my position, is that the deal is comparable to existing ones or more beneficial to the U.S. than Israel, and given Israel's advancements, scrapping it would only hurt the U.S., among other things. Basically, the complaining about aid to Israel seems very invalid to me. We can put everything into perspective, or maybe not. I don't mind also being convinced it is the opposite. And I said, I'm getting everything ready right now. That was at 9:45. Someone liked it. And then I told him I am live, and I sent him the invite to the channel. So, now that we went over all that, I'm going to go ahead and be here. And I'm going to go ahead and, for right now, at least until he decides to show up, we're going to look into Israel and foreign policy with America. I believe that this was the latest. So actually, you know what, even though it's not necessarily good, let's go ahead and look into Israel-United States relations. 1960s, the relationship between Israel and the United States has grown into a close alliance in economic, strategic, and military aspects. The U.S. has provided strong support for Israel, and it has played a key role in the promotion of good relations between Israel and its neighboring Arab states. So basically, we have been really good and nice in the area, and relations with Israel are an important factor to the U.S. policy in the Middle East. Israel is the largest recipient of U.S. foreign aid, and it makes sense. Up to February 2022, has provided Israel with U.S. $150 billion in assistance. The first free trade agreement was with Israel in 1985. In 1985, who was president there? I don't know. The U.S. government signed a commitment to provide Israel with at least $2.7 billion in military aid annually for 10 years. So that would have been over in 1995. In 2009, it was raised to $3 billion, and in 2019, raised to a minimum $3.8 billion. Since 1972, the U.S. has extended loan guarantees to Israel with assistance in housing shortages, absorption of new Jewish immigrants, and economic recovery. In addition to financial and military aid, the U.S. provides large-scale political support, having its United Nations Security Council veto power 42 times against resolutions condemning Israel, out of 83 times. Excuse me. Between 1991 and 2011, out of the 24 vetoes invoked by the U.S., 15 were used to protect Israel. Permanent member. So Truman, Eisenhower, 85, right? It said the first one was 1985. So 85, that would have been Reagan, actually. Sometime in Reagan. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. I thought it was going to be Carter. Yikes, Carter only served one term? I did not know that. So, superpower seeking balance against interest in the Middle East, with Israel a small but militarily powerful nation. Actually, you know what? I am going to put some the song on. Let me. There we go. I feel like it's good to have a song on in the background. That way it's not just boring me reading. So that was during Reagan's administration. So it's interesting. So during the Reagan administration. And again, may this be wrong? It could be wrong. I mean, it's Wikipedia. I don't know if it's wrong. It could be wrong. So we'll see what happens with that. Alright. Support for Zionism among American Jews was minimal until the involvement of Louis Brandeis in the Federation of American Zionists, starting in 1912, and the establishment of the Provisional Executive Committee for General Zionist Affairs. 1914 was empowered by the Zionist organization to deal with all Zionist members until better times comes. Woodrow Wilson, who was sympathetic to the plight of Jews in Europe, Allied nations. I'm kind of looking for when we first started to have the first joint resolution stated support for the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. Okay, the same day the Mandate of Palestine was approved by the Council of the League of Nations. During World War II, the U.S. While U.S. foreign policy was often ad hoc, departure from traditional Zionist policy and its stated goals as the Biltmore Conference. Previously stated policy toward establishing a Jewish national home in Palestine were gone. Those were replaced with new policy that Palestine would be established as a Jewish Commonwealth, like other nations, in cooperation with the United States and not Britain. Two attempts by Congress in 1944 to pass a resolution declaring U.S. government support for the establishment of the Jewish state of Palestine were objected by the Departments of War and State. I'm keeping my eyes open. just in case he is here. Following the more than new post-war era, witnessed intensive involvement of the United States in the political and economic affairs of the Middle East in contrast to the hands-off attitude characteristic of the pre-war period. In terms of administration, the United States had to face and define its policy in all three sectors that provided the root cause of Americans' interest in the region: the Soviet threat, the birth of Israel, and petroleum. Yeah, from what I understand, like, we essentially helped make Israel an actual thing. After World War II, we helped Israel become its own place, as kind of like, not penance, but like as kind of a, hey, we feel sorry that people did World War II to you, so we're going to help you make your own place. So we helped clear a space for them and helped make a place for them in the Mideast. Was that the right policy? Was that correct? I cannot say. But yeah. So let's see. Previous American presidents also encouraged. So the possibility of a Soviet-Arab connection and the potential Arab restriction of the oil supplies to the U.S. and advised against U.S. intervention on behalf of the Jews. So we kind of helped set it up, not only on the backside, but kind of like, I'm assuming in a lot of different ways. Yeesh. I do not like that last name at all. Yeah. We'll see if he comes in. Alright. Let me see. During these years of the Eisenhower government, provided Israel moderate amounts of economic aid, mostly loans for basic foodstuffs, far greater share of statement income derived from German war reparations. France became the main arms supplier. This support was seen by Israel to counter the perceived threat from Egypt under this president with respect to Czech arms deal. And yeah, so it doesn't look like really anything happened. Kennedy and Johnson administration. So created the creation of security ties with Israel, founded the U.S. Israeli military alliance. Nations General Assembly was generally anti-Israel, but all decisions were subject to American veto power. Kennedy sold the Hawk anti-aircraft missile to Abraham Ben-Zvi of Tel Aviv. Kennedy warned about the production of nuclear materials, which would instigate a nuclear arms race. I do think that they were wrong in making a nuke. I'm trying to make sure that we get this guy in here if he wants to have a talk. If he doesn't want to talk, then I don't know. I still want to do my news show at some point, but I still have to set that up and do all that. I am learning slowly. The presidency's policy shifted to a wholehearted but not unquestioning support for Israel. Six-Day War of the 1967 was sympathetic to Israel's need to defend itself against the foreign attack. The U.S. worried that Israel's response would be disproportionate. Yeah, during the Six-Day War, Israeli jets and torpedo boats attacked the USS Liberty, a U.S. Navy spy ship. So yeah, I can see this. With, everyone being high about nuclear arms races. So yeah, I mean, it seems like the entire Israel relationship had been something to talk about. Yeah, I mean, honestly, just looking at it so far, I think we're not going to be having the debate, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave. Yeah, I mean, I've my policy with Israel and the Israel relations is a very simple one. Um, America needs to, first of all, not be involved in mostly any war unless we need to for the sake and betterment of the people of that nation. I have ancestral ties to Panama, and Manuel Noriega was a very bad communist who killed a lot of people in Panama, and the U.S. was nice enough to get rid of Manuel Noriega, and by doing so, um, I feel like that was good policy. But what is not good policy, my examples of not good policy, is during the Chinese war between the communist and the republic side. They let the communists win. They didn't help as much with the republic. They could have done bombing campaigns. They could have done a bunch more. They could have given them troops. They could have helped a lot during that campaign. They didn't help nearly as much as they should have, and by doing that, it was an all or nothing thing, and it was lost. My plan for any foreign policy that the U.S. should administer needs to be, first and foremost, we do all or nothing. If we are going to help with a war, we need to help everything. That means ammunition, food, supplies, whole 9 yards. And if we don't, then we need to stay the fuck out of the war. The reason for that is because it's lost people on both sides, and it's lost a lot of them. In the war with Iran, my thought process and everything is very simple. My thought process is this: the best Iran way of doing things, the best Iran thing to do with Iran is to help them get rid of the IRGC, as the IRGC is terrible. The IRGC is nothing. It is nothing but smoke and dust. The IRGC is Manuel Noriega. The IRGC is the communist in China. We need to get rid of them. Anyway, I think that's it. We'll go ahead and play one more song as the exit, and I think what we'll do is, you know what? I made a song about the U.S.-Israel foreign policy. I haven't even listened to it, so we're going to listen to it for the first time right here, right now. My brand new Suno AI music song released. We're going to try the longer one first, and if we do this again, I will also play the second one. So here it is, Open Hand Policy. Let's go ahead and leave off with this. And that will be all. Thank you guys so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. And I will be on tomorrow. I will be playing games. As you can see, I got some games downloaded that I have tried to open without stream. We'll see if I'm able to open them with stream on. Go ahead and leave a comment. I'll make a post on my YouTube channel, so go ahead and make a comment on that post what game you want me to have on there. I think I will make it in between a couple of different options. I think I will make it between the Undefeated game, or the Police Chief Simulator, or the Money Simulator. I think that the Undefeated will be the most fun, so I will go ahead and make that post right now, just so you guys can all see. Alright, and let's go ahead and do this. Text poll. And we'll do undefeated. Free game on Steam. Or do we want to do the police chief, or what else would be fun? Yeah, I think we'll do that one, or the DCUO. Free Steam game. Well, that way it's the same, Undefeated or DCUO. And we'll put DC verse online free game on Steam. And I think we'll make it the other one Marvel Contest of Champions. What game shall I stream tomorrow? What game shall I stream tomorrow? Undefeated, DC Universe Online, and Marvel Contest of Champions. All three of those free game. And post. And there we go. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys have a great day, great night,